Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, we are blessed with Mufti Yasir being here with us, spending the day with us. MashaAllah, he was given amazing khutbah. And here we are tonight gathered to listen to his lecture, inshallah. May Allah make it beneficial for us. After the khutbah, inshallah, please stay around. There will be an interactive Q&A. A quick introduction. Alhamdulillah, Mufti Sahib has been with our community engaged for over the years. He doesn't need any introduction. However, for the new members who are not familiar with him, Mufti Nadeem Sahib is the founder and director of Darul Online. He runs this institution from Elgin. He is also a deputy director of the Mufti Urdu magazine, Tarjumatul Deoband. He graduated from Darul Deoband in the year 2001. He also completed a one-year course in the Arabic language and literature in 2002 and followed that with a one-year IFTA course in 2003. In 2004, he moved to US to earn the postgraduate degree in Arabic literature in 2005. In 2012, he completed his PhD at the International Islamic University in Malaysia, and his area of specialization was prophetic sciences. MashaAllah, from his background and the work experience includes currently the director and founder of Darul Online. He is the professor of Hadith and Fiqh at the Institute of Islamic Education in Elgin. MashaAllah, this institute has been a backbone for the community of the Chicago and around for over few decades. And he's currently as a president of Prophet's Mission in New Delhi, India. Without further ado, inshallah, I'll give it back to Mufti Yasir.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Respected brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah, I from time to time get an opportunity to come and visit this city. I remember that for the first time it was in 2006 when I came here, and I believe many of you were not here in the city at that time. I came here and I stayed for about 28 days in the month of Ramadan. I was leading Taraweeh here, and it was one of my best Ramadan, Alhamdulillah. And then since then, I've made several visits, and a few days ago, I received a call and I was requested that if I can come and address the issue that is in fact a very serious issue, not only in America, but also around the world. And it's the issue of doubts in the minds of our youth. And not only in the minds of our youth, but also even elderly individuals. I've been working in this field for several years by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, talking to individuals on social media or directly one-on-one. There are people who are losing their faith. There are people who are losing their Iman. They were born Muslims, but then later on they develop doubts in their minds about Islam, about the morality of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the Quran. And then when they do not find a convincing response, a convincing answer, they think that Islam has a problem, and after that they leave Islam. As I said, that it's not the problem of youth anymore. I personally know a few individuals who are in their 50s or 60s. They have been Muslims all their life. In fact, there is a person I came to know about him just a few weeks ago, who comes from a family of scholars in the subcontinent. And he lived among scholars. He knows very good Arabic. He knows the Quran. But then somehow he became apostate. So the problem of apostasy is no longer limited to our schools in America. Though, according to Pew Research Foundation, in America, in North America, 23% of Muslim youth become or leave Islam. 23% Muslim youth in North America every year leave Islam. and they are the ones who actually renounce Islam publicly. So that's why the Pew Research Foundation was able to find out about them. Think about how many of our youth actually have Iman, actually have Islam. See how many times we have a conversation, a healthy, constructive conversation with them. How many times we ask them about their belief in Allah. How many times we ask them if they have any doubts about Islam, if they have any question about the Quran. The reason why we do not have this conversation, because we ourselves fear that if my child asked me a tough question, how would I respond? So many times we just avoid that conversation. And if somehow he asks us that question, we either say that, we'll talk to the Imam, we'll go to the masjid, we'll see, and sometimes it is just, it's forgotten. And we don't know, we don't realize that when we do not entertain that question, we do not respond to that question, this question keeps in his mind, it just leads to another question, and that leads to another question, and one day he just started having doubts about Islam, and he just doesn't share that with his parents because he thinks that my parents will be upset at me, that how come you're losing your faith. So he remains an apostate, and apparently he's a Muslim. So that is a big, big, big problem. So inshallah we'll try to understand the problem itself and why it happens and how we can solve it bi'iznillahi ta'ala. There are two ahadith that I would like to share with you, and these two ahadith are in Sahih Muslim. It's a long hadith, and both of them are narrated by a person whose specialty is to know the ahadith of the hour, the ahadith of the signs of the hour. His name is Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu an. He used to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam questions about the Day of Judgment. He used to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam about the signs of the Day of Judgment. So Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he's a very close companion to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. He said once that حدثنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حديثين. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told me two things, shared with me two items, 2 points. And then what happened? وأنا قد رأيت أحدهما وأنا أنتظر الآخر. I have seen one of them and I am waiting for the other. The first point has become true. The second one will become true, and I am waiting when it becomes true. So the first point that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam shared was that حدثنا أن الأمانة نزلت في جذر قلوب الرجال ثم نزل القرآن فعلموا من القرآن وعلموا من السنة. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us that amana, honesty, it was revealed in the hearts of the people, and then after that the Quran was revealed. So the people learn from the Quran and they learn from the Sunnah. فَعَلِمُوا مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ وَعَلِمُوا مِنَ السُّنَّةِ. So I have witnessed those people who received honesty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and they became mu'min. Before I continue in this hadith, let me take you back to the early period of Islam when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was honored to become prophet, to become the messenger of Allah. And he came to Sayyida Khadija radiyallahu anha. What did he say to Sayyida Khadija radiyallahu anha? He simply shared with her his experience that I was in the cave, and this person, this entity or this being whose name is Jibreel, he came and he delivered these ayat to me, and I have never had this experience like this before. So what did Sayyida Khadija radiyallahu anha say in response? She didn't say that, what are you talking about? Looks like maybe you were dreaming. Are you all right? Maybe it was hallucination or something like that. Al-iyaz billah. She said that whatever you're saying, it has to be true, because I've never seen you lying. So Sayyida Khadija radiyallahu anha was the first person to accept Islam. Why? Because she was very honest. She was being honest to herself and honest to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Her honesty was that I've been living with you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, for last 15 years. At the age of 25, he got married to Sayyidah Khadija. And at the age of 40, he received the first revelation. So for last 15 years, imagine when two individuals, and if it is husband and wife, they know the secrets of each other very well within the first month. And here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been living with Sayyidah Khadija radiyallahu anha for 15 years. And the wife is testifying, which is very difficult when the wife testifies in the favor of her husband. She is testifying that I have never seen you lying, not even once, not even a single moment, a single time throughout your life with me. So if that is the case, this time you're saying that you had this experience, you must be speaking truth, and I believe in you. The next person who accepted Islam was Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu an. The next person who accepted Islam was Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu an. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Sayyidina Bilal, Usman ibn Affan. These were the few 7, 8 individuals who accepted Islam within the first few days. Now the question is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's claim was not an ordinary claim. His claim was very big. And as they say that a big claim requires a big evidence, there was no evidence. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not present any evidence. All he said that I received these 5 ayat, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, and that's it. So, but these 7, 8 individuals, how come they accepted Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's message as soon as he delivered the message to them? Because they were honest, they had amana in their heart. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Huzaifa, that, "O Huzaifa, amana, honesty, was revealed in the heart of the people," meaning Allah Azza wa Jal prepared the hearts of the people first, and then the Quran was revealed. So there were people who were ready to accept Islam right away. So that's why Ali ibn Abi Talib accepted Islam right away. Khadija accepted Islam right away. Usman ibn Affan accepted Islam right away. And Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu accepted Islam right away. That's why they're called Siddiq. So amana is the base of our iman. Honesty is the base of our iman. If there is no amana, there is no iman. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in a hadith, "La imana liman la amanata la." There is no iman in the heart of one who is not honest. So honesty is the main thing, is the base of iman. If a person is honest to himself, then he can have iman throughout his life. But if he lose honesty, then he will lose iman. So this is the first thing that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shared with Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu an. And Huzaifa, being the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said that I have witnessed all those people who were very honest in their life, and that's why they have accepted Islam in a large number. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, when he gave his da'wah to the people of Makkah, hundreds of them accepted Islam. And then when he moved to Medina, thousands of them accepted Islam. All of these companions of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, they had amana, they had honesty in their heart, and that's why it was quick for them. It was easy for them to make this decision. It's not easy for people to renounce their religion. It's not easy for people to go away from the religion of their forefathers. These people who used to do idol worshipping, who had all the problems of life in their life. But as soon as they heard the message from Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, they said, "Labbaika ya Rasulullah," and they accepted Iman. So amana is the base. Now Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu an, he says further. He says that summa haddasana an raf'il amana. So this is the thing, the first thing I have already witnessed. Now the second thing, I am waiting. I haven't witnessed yet. I am waiting, and it's going to happen. So what is the second thing? He says, "Summa haddasna an raf'il amana." Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that this amana, this honesty, will be raised one day. It will be removed from the hearts of the people. And how it will be removed? يَنَامُ الرَّجُلُ النَّوْمَةَ فَتُقْبَضُ الْأَمَانَةُ مِنْ قَلْبِهِ فَيَظَلُّ أَثَرُهَا مِثْلَ الْوَقْتِ ثُمَّ يَنَامُ النَّوْمَةَ فَتُقْبَضُ الْأَمَانَةُ مِنْ قَلْبِهِ فَيَظَلُّ أَثَرُهَا مِثْلَ الْمَجْلِ. Rasulullah ﷺ said that one day a man will sleep, and when he will wake up in the morning, he will see that his honesty is gone. And the only thing is that its impression, like blister, is left in his heart. Very basic level of amana, very basic level of honesty is left. He will lose his amana next morning when he will wake up. And then that impression will also be gone when he will wake up next morning. So in 2-3 days, he will lose all his amana. Now Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu anhu is saying that I have started witnessing such people who are not honest to themselves. Who's saying this? Huzaifa. the Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now think about this. If people started losing their amana and honesty during the time of Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, what have we become? Where have we come in terms of amana and honesty? Now, I have been mentioning the word amana and honesty several times, but what is it? Look, honesty is not that you only speak truth to others. Of course, there is honesty. Honesty is not only that when you deal with others, you do not deceive them, you do not betray them. Of course, that is definitely the definition of honesty. But the highest level of amana, highest level of honesty, is that we become honest to ourselves. We know about ourselves more than anyone else. If we deceive ourselves, if we betray ourselves, it means we have zero degree of amana and honesty. How do we become honest to ourselves? See, if we admit and acknowledge that the knowledge I have, whatever I know, is far less than whatever I don't know. The knowledge I have is far less than the knowledge I don't have. It means you are being honest to yourself. The moment you claim that I know everything, the moment you claim that I know Islam in and out, the moment you claim that I know the Hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ without properly studying them, the moment you claim that I know the Quran without even reading the entire Quran from the first page to the last page and without understanding what Rasulullah ﷺ interpreted the Quran, how he explained the Quran, the moment you make such claims, it means you are losing your honesty. You're not being honest to yourself, because that is not true. 100%, that is not true. If somebody says that I know the entire Islam, basically he is claiming that I am the most educated Muslim individual in the world. Is that true? No, that is not true. So if it is not true and you have this delusion in your mind, you have this thought in your mind, then you are actually betraying yourself. You're deceiving yourself. And this deception is against honesty. The moment a person develops this dishonesty in his heart, he starts losing Iman. In another hadith of Sahih Muslim, Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu an, he was sitting with Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu an. It's a very interesting hadith. So Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu an asked, who knows the ahadith of the hour, the sa'ah, the day of judgment? So Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu an raised his hand and he said, I know some of those ahadith, O Amirul Mu'mineen. So Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu an says that, tell me some of those ahadith, share those ahadith with me. So he said, O Amirul Mu'mineen, inna baynaka wa bayna as-sa'ati baban. Between you and between the day of judgment, there is a door. So you don't have to be worried, it's behind the door. Why are you asking about the signs of the day of judgment? So Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anh said that this door will be opened or it will be broken. So Huzaifa radiyallahu anh said, bal yuksaru. It will be destroyed, it will be broken. It will not be simply opened. Then he said, okay, what is the day, what are the signs? So Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu anh says that towards the day of judgment, towards the end of time, تُعْرَضُ الْفِتَنُ عَلَى الْقُلُوبِ. Fitan, trials, will be presented to hearts. Nukita kalhasiri udan, and they will be like, that wooden carpet, piece by piece. So one after the other, as if the wave in the ocean, one after the other wave. You cannot stop the next wave. It's just keep coming. Then he says that فَأَيُّ قَلْبٍ أُشْرِبَهَا نُكِتَ فِيهِ نُكْتَةٌ سَوْدَى. Whichever of the hearts accepts those trials, there will be a black dot in that heart. And whichever heart refuses those trials, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will create a white dot in that heart. This is the hadith. Now the question is that Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu an was asking about this door. What is this door? He said that there is a door between Umar ibn al-Khattab and the day of judgment. And Umar ibn al-Khattab asked that whether the door will be opened or it will be destroyed. And Huzaifa said that it will be destroyed. Who is this door? What is the meaning of this door in the hadith? Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu understood it very well. The door between him and the day of judgment and the signs of the hour and the fitan, the trials, was his death, was himself. When he said whether the door will be open or it will be destroyed, he was actually asking, will I simply die, I will have normal death, or I will be killed? Huzaifa ibn al-Yaman radiyallahu anhu said that the door will not be opened, because when you open the door, you can close it easily. He said that the door will be destroyed. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu understood that I will be killed. And after that, the fitan, the trials begin in the ummah. As soon as Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu passed away, the trials began in the ummah. It was predicted by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So imagine if it happened during the time of Sahaba. We have come far away in time from Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. 1400 years later, now the trials are attacking us. They're striking us right and left. They are striking the hearts of our youth. They are making us leave Islam. So again, those people who are honest to themselves, they're the one who are able to save their Iman in Islam. Those who are not honest to themselves, they lose Iman immediately. And I have tons of stories. A few weeks ago, someone I was talking to, it was a Zoom meeting, and I asked him, he became an atheist, became ex-Muslim. So I asked him, what is the cause? Why did you leave Islam? He said that, well, I came across a hadith. The hadith said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down to the worldly heaven before Fajr every morning. So how is it possible that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down? That's not possible. For him to come down, Allah azza wa jal has to have a body. And if he has a body, then he must be in a direction. And if he is in a direction, then he must be in time and space. And if he is in time and space, then he is going to perish one day. He is not eternal. Because anything that is in time and space, it is definitely not eternal. So how come Allah is eternal? So when I read this hadith, I just said that, Rasulullah ﷺ was not a true messenger, and I left Islam. So you think about when we read this hadith in Ramadan, and when we remind people about this hadith, and we say that Allah Azza wa Jal comes down to the worldly heaven, many of us think that, wow, we make dua, we should wake up at that time, and we should make dua, because Allah is so close to us. And we literally get up for Salatul Tahajjud, and we make dua. We never have this waswasa, this shaitani whisper in our heart, that how come Allah came to this worldly heaven, and how come does he have a body or not? Is he in space or not? Is he finite or infinite? We don't have any of those wasafis. We do not get any of those thoughts. How come this guy had developed this thought? The reason is that without basic knowledge, without prior knowledge, he was pondering in the hadith, and he thought that my understanding of the hadith is right. He lost his honesty. He wasn't being honest to himself. He thought that I know the hadith. And when he made this claim that I know the hadith in his heart, he lost his Iman. The meaning of the hadith is not that Allah Azza wa Jal physically come down to the worldly heaven. It does not mean that at all. Simply, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rahmah and His mercy is directed to the people more than any other time at that particular time. That is the meaning of the hadith. Was it difficult for anyone to understand this? No, it is not. But he developed his own understanding, thinking that he was the master and the champion of hadith. He was the master and the champion of Islam. And as soon as he developed this understanding, he left Iman. That's why honesty is the most important thing. People always, there is an issue whenever you talk to youth today. You talk to people who have already left Islam or who are doubtful about Islam. You ask them, what is the biggest problem in Islam? Why do you think Islam has a problem? If there is any, according to you. They always come up with one problem, one issue. and it's called the problem of evil. They say that if Allah is omnipotent and if He is merciful, He's omnipotent, He's qadir mutlaq, that He can do whatever He likes to do. He says kun fayakun, He says be and it becomes. And He is at the same time merciful. That His mercy, according to some narrations, is more than the mercy of 70 mothers. So how come He allows evil in this world? How come there are women who sometime are raped? There are children who face death, who face pain. There are children who are born like that. They live all their life in pain. Why there is pain in this world? Why there is evil in this world? So either Allah is not able, see this is the logic, this is how they use their logic. Either Allah is not able to remove and control that evil, or He is not merciful. If He is not merciful, He's not qualified to be God. And if He's not able to control that evil, again He's not qualified to be God. So either this is true or that is true. They both cannot be true. And from here, they start developing doubts and they leave Islam. These are the problems, these are the common problems, and inshallah we'll talk about these. But we need to understand the root cause of apostasy, the root cause of why our youth and many individuals are leaving Islam. There are two main things. And if we control these two things, philosophically, rationally, and also practically, then we can save the Iman of our next generation. Number one, the first thing is Scientism, and the second thing is Liberalism. These two are the carrier of apostasy. These two things are the ride of apostasy. Apostasy entered the households of Muslims through these two ideologies, Scientism and Liberalism. What is Scientism? Scientism is, I'm not talking about science, I'm talking about Scientism. And it means that when a person thinks that my life and my behavior towards others, my lifestyle should be decided in the light of science. Science will dictate how I live and what is my morality. This is called Scientism. And then he becomes skeptic towards Iman and Islam. See, science teaches us that we become skeptic towards science. Science is not eternal and it's not constant. It's not like when there is a scientific discovery, so it will remain as it is forever. It changes over the period of time. Scientists used to believe X 10 years ago, and now they believe in Y, and they will believe something else after 10 years. It's constantly changing. If it is not changing, it's not science. So if we decide our morality in the light of science, it means we are becoming skeptic towards Iman and Islam, and we are not becoming skeptic towards science. Whereas we are supposed to question science, why it is changing, and when it will change next time. We shouldn't be questioning about the constant of Islam, about the fundamentals of Islam, but we do the other way. There are two major problems. In fact, one big problem in Scientism. Look, the entire science is based on the argument of induction. What is argument of induction? Let me give you an example, and then inshallah all of us will understand. Once upon a time, in the Western world, in Europe especially, it was believed that the swan are always white. Why? Because they had seen only white swan. So they said that all swan are white. For many, many years, they only saw one kind of bird, and it was white. They thought that all swan are white because black didn't exist in Europe. But then when the colonialism began, and Europeans started going to other countries, to Africa, to Asia, they discovered that swan are also black. So our proposition, our statement that all swan are white, it's no longer true, because some swan are also black and they are found in other countries and other places. The reason why they said that all swan are white, it's called induction. When you see for example, 100 times an event taking place, people think that every time this event is going to take place like this. But it is possible that for the 101st or 102nd or 110th time, it happens in a different way. For example, vaccination. What happened in vaccination? Many of you, mashallah, are in medical field. So it's not like vaccines were tested on every single individual before they hit the market. They were selected individuals. Upon them, the trial was done. Some companies chose 20,000 people. Some companies chose 30,000 people. But then the same company that ran these trial on 20 or 30,000 people supplied those vaccines to millions of people. This is called induction. Because when these companies realized that our vaccine is working on 20,000 people, 30,000 people, so they gained confidence and they thought that now it will work on millions of people. This is called induction. But it is possible that some individuals, vaccine won't work on them. Because induction doesn't have to be definite. It is indefinite. It might fail. Similarly, it's called the problem of induction or the problem of black swan. When we look at Islam and when we try to understand Islam in the light of science, this is the biggest problem. This is the huge issue. Islam is based on definite arguments. Islam is based on arguments that will never change. Science is based on arguments that will constantly change. How can you judge an ideology, the foundation of which will never change, in the light of an ideology, the foundation of which constantly changes? It is not fair. Islam is based on the Quran. Islam is based on common sense. Islam is based on the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Quran will not change. Common sense of people will not change. For example, historically and even today, every single individual believes that whatever exists, it has a cause behind it. You cannot give me an example, even of a tiniest seed that came into existence on its own. It's not possible. It has to have a sabab, it has to have a cause behind it. So everybody believes in that. Therefore, we believe that if everything in this universe has a cause behind, then this universe also has a cause behind. It is not possible that everything in the universe has a cause, but the universe doesn't have a cause. It is called a special pleading fallacy. It's called a special pleading fallacy. What does that mean? It means, imagine you are in a queue and you're trying to get into the plane, and you're in the middle of the line or maybe towards the end of the line, and then you bypass the whole line. You are sitting in economy class. Your zone was not called. You're not a business or first class passenger. You're not a priority passenger. So you are in the line and you have to get on board along with everybody just as line will move in. But you cut everyone and you go to the front and you say, since my name is such and such, my name is Yasir, therefore I have a right to get on the plane first. The flight attendant will say, what are you talking about? Just go back where you come from. This is, what are you demanding? You're demanding that you should be treated especially. This is called a special pleading fallacy. Nobody will entertain your demand unless if you have a reason to make that demand. Suppose you're a business class passenger, you're a first class passenger, you are a priority passenger, okay, most welcome. But if you're just like anyone else, then why should you be given priority? Why should you be treated differently? If everything in the universe has a cause behind, and the universe doesn't have a cause behind, it means it is a special pleading fallacy. We are treating universe differently, separately. If everything in the universe was created by someone or something, there is a reason behind that, then the universe also has a cause behind that. This is the only way we can save ourselves from this special pleading fallacy. So when people say that no, this is silly argument. Scientists have been saying that the world or the universe could come on its own. We have this theory and that theory, though this theory is not confirmed, though that theory is not confirmed, but one day science will discover the confirmed theory and that day will surely is not going to come. This is scientism, that people want to learn Islam or people want to learn the origin of life in the light of science. Remember one thing, respected brothers and sisters, the domain of science is this physical world. When we talk about Iman, when we talk about Allah, when we talk about the Day of Judgment, when we talk about Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Jannah and Jahannam, this is metaphysical world. So something that was designed to talk about physical world cannot dictate about the metaphysical world. It's not possible. If you insist that no, I want to decide about the metaphysical world in the light of those scientific tools that were coined by scientists to understand the physical world, then you have a problem of scientism. You have a problem of scientism. This is the problem of our youth. This is the problem of our young minds, that they wanted to understand everything through science, through the scientific lens. And sometimes they don't work. For example, they learn the theory of evolution in schools. And then when they come home and they, from their childhood, have been learning the story of Adam and Hawa, and they learned that Allah Azza wa Jal created Adam and then Hawa, and then from this couple, the entire progeny, it came into existence. And there in school, they learn about the theory of evolution. And they think that it contradicts with the concept of Adam and Eve. They start having doubts about Islam. I don't want to go in the details of the theory of evolution. That's not what we are here for. But the thing is that evolution, if you accept it as it is, if you accept the theory, the process of evolution, it doesn't contradict Islam because it can be guided. The problem of evolution, Darwinian evolution, is that is natural selection. Natural selection means that a species naturally selected, then the environment, and those that naturally selected the environment, they survived, and those that didn't, they didn't survive. This natural selection is the core, is the base of Darwinian evolution. And for natural selection, there is no evidence. Not a single evidence. I promise you, not a single evidence. However, if you accept the whole evolution, accept this natural selection, you can say that the whole evolution could be guided. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided species to evolve and they turn from one to another. It is possible. I do not buy this theory, but I'm saying that there is a possibility. But if you dictate Quran and Hadith, after you learn whatever you learn in your school at a very basic level, and you come home and you start judging Islam and judging the Quran, then chances are that you will lose your Iman. And as parents, if we do not convince our children, then chances are that our next generation or the generation after the next generation will not be on Iman. They will become kuffar. Al-iyaz billah. So scientism is the first problem. We need to train our children that morality should not be determined in the light of science. Morality should be determined in the light of deen. Because science will change, deen does not. Morality shouldn't change. Something that is moral today should remain moral tomorrow. It's not that what is moral today is immoral tomorrow, or what is immoral today is moral tomorrow. That shouldn't happen. Now that leads us to the next problem. The next problem is liberalism. If I'm not talking about liberal Muslims, I'm talking about liberalism as an ideology. It has three fundamental beliefs. Number one, equality. Number two, liberty and freedom. Number three, progress. These are three fundamental aqaid, beliefs of liberalism. If you have liberalism in your life, you have to have these three things. The first one is, let's talk about equality. So people believe that all people are equal. All genders are equal. How many genders? The world has not been able to decide yet how many genders. It's just evolving every day. So they're just increasing the list of genders. Last time I heard it was 70 plus. Maybe in last 2-3 months, they added few more. So all genders are equal. When they say all genders, they primarily talk about men and women. Now the problem is that when our children come to the masjid, they say that men are standing in the front rows and women are standing in the back rows. They come to the masjid and they see that I haven't prayed in my life behind a woman imam. So it's always men who does imamat. When they talk about Islamic history, they come to know that all anbiya, all prophets, and all messengers were male. There is no female prophet and messenger. So when they read the Quran and they see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to himself as he, not as she, so they develop this doubt in their mind that I thought we were equal. Men and women are equal. So if there were 124,000 Anbiya, at least 20, 24,000, 30,000 Anbiya should be female. How come we don't have zero? We don't have any from female. At least in some masajid, if not all, sometimes women should get the opportunity to lead. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should refer to himself as she, or he should use a gender neutral pronoun for himself. This is the problem. Why this problem comes as a doubt in our mind? Just ask yourself. I'm asking all the elders here who didn't grow up here in this country. You grew up back home. Have you ever had this doubt in your mind? Most of you will say that we never thought about these issues. Why? Because we were never programmed like this. We were not told in our school that all genders are 100% equal. We were never told about this. So we never had this doubt. But our youth have this doubt because they have been programmed like this. So now the question is that, okay, what is the Islamic position? Are they equal or they're not equal? Let me give you an example. Suppose you work in a company, and suppose it is all male company. There is no female employee. Everybody belongs to one gender. Do you think that all employees in that company have equal status? It's not possible. You have to work under a boss, and then that would work under another boss. There is whole hierarchy in the system. Without hierarchy, the company will fail. The company will collapse. If there are all IT engineers in one company and they're all working in one department and of equal status, the company will collapse tomorrow. You have to have different departments and the head of the department, and then those head of the department will report to someone, and those to someone else, and finally there is board of executives, and then finally there must be some owner or some directors, the shareholders, the prime shareholders. There is a whole system of hierarchy. People who are sitting on the top in the board of advisory, they enjoy more protocols, they have more rights, and they have more responsibilities. People who work underneath them, in different departments, they also have rights, but they don't have equal rights and equal protocols. It's not possible. Any system, whether it's a government, it's a political system, it's a company, it's an organization, it is not possible that you maintain 100% equality among all the members of that company. For the survival of that company and that institution, inequality is must. Then what is required? What is required is called justice. You have to be fair with everyone. Everyone will get advantage or rights based on his credibility, based on his capability, based on his capacity. Someone who has done bachelor's in information technology, his salary would be less than a person who did master's in the same field. And his salary would be less than the person who has PhD in the same field. So based on your capacity and your performance, you should be treated in that company, and this is absolutely fair. Islam does not say that all men and all women in all aspects are equal. It doesn't say that. Yes, in terms of entering to Jannah, we're all equal. It's not that men will enter Jannah first and women will be behind. In terms of acceptance of our a'mal by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're all equal. It's not that if a man performs 2 rakah, he gets more sawab, versus if a woman performs 2 rakah, she gets less sawab. No, they both get equal sawab. In terms of their sin, they are all equal. The same amount of punishment, the same type of sin, the same type of reward, the same time of entering Jannah, same time of entering Jahannam. Everything will be same. But when it comes to running the affairs of this world, just like we have hierarchy and we have different positions, similarly, Islam believes in roles that are based on justice. It doesn't believe on roles that are based on equality. It is not possible. The family will collapse. The system will collapse. If an institution that we call a company will collapse if we enforce 100% equality, then the institution of family will also collapse if there is no leadership role. This is what Islam believes in. And this is what we need to understand. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran. الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. People say, oh, you know what? Women, when they go to the court, their testimony is equal to one. So 2 women, their testimony is equal to 1 man. That is not fair. Now let me ask you this. Who wants to go to the courtroom to testify every day? Even men don't want to go there. It's not a good place to be. But why Islam says that 2 women equal to 1 man in terms of testimony in the courtroom? In order to respond to this, first we need to understand another mas'ala. We all know al-Mu'mineen Sayyida Aisha radiyallahu anha. We all know her contribution in Islam. We all know that she was the closest companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We all know that she was one of the most reliable and trustworthy source of Islam after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When she was narrating ahadith upon ahadith and narrations upon narrations to the companions like Abu Bakr and Umar, did they ever ask that, oh Aisha, oh al-Mu'mineen, we cannot accept your narration all alone. We need another person? Did they say that, you know what, bring Hafsa too? When Hafsa and Aisha together will narrate, then only we will accept hadith? Did they ever say that Zainab and Aisha, when they are together, then only we will accept the hadith? Never. It never happened. In fact, the whole fiqh, hundreds of masail of fiqh, are based on narrations of Sayyida Aisha radiyallahu anha all alone. When Sahaba radiyallahu anhum would sit together, pondering on a fiqhi mas'ala, they would ask each other, so do you know any ayah of the Quran regarding this mas'ala? Do you know any hadith about this issue? And they would look at each other and they would say, well, I don't know any hadith. I never heard anything about Rasulullah, from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about this mas'ala. So their next stop is Ummahatul Mu'mineen. They would say, okay, go, one of you go and ask Aisha. One of you go and ask Hafsa. One of you go and ask Salama. One of you go and ask Zainab radiyallahu anhun. And then these Sahaba would come back and they say, yes, Aisha radiyallahu anha knows this hadith. Or yes, Hafsa radiyallahu anha knows this hadith. And all the Sahaba, no female is present there, all male. All the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum would accept the hadith of Aisha radiyallahu anha. They never said that two women are equal to 1 man. Never. So this is the base of Islam, where 1 woman is equal to 1 man. But when it comes to testimony in the court, Islam or Islamic system does not want that women go to the courtroom every now and then. It is not a place to be for everyone. You know, you go there when there is a dire need. For example, you witness a crime. Now imagine if you witness a crime. There is a woman and there is a man. Their interpretation of that crime will definitely be different. It is possible that men will think of that crime or will interpret that crime differently. Let me tell you my experience. About 11 years ago, I served as a juror. I had a jury service. So it was a domestic violence case. And it was my first experience, and I wanted to see how the judiciary system in America works, and I wanted to see it very closely. So I'm sure many of you have that experience. So a lot of people are invited, and then they have shortlisted. So some people just leave and some people just stay in the box. I was trying my best to stay. And I noticed that a lot of people, they're just trying to leave. So they were deliberately responding wrong, they were giving wrong responses to the lawyers. But I wanted to stay. Khair, I was among the selected ones who had the opportunity to see the trial. So the trial began around 11 o'clock, and all the evidences, claims, and everything was presented by 3. And then we were told to go to a room behind the courtroom. We were approximately 14 people, I believe. And I think there were 5 women and rest of us were men. It was a domestic violence case where a man, definitely, we have seen those evidences, hit his wife. So we started talking about, so what is the decision? Should he go to jail for 2 years? Should he be pronounced free? Is he free to go, or should he pronounce guilty? Think about this. All men are on one side. They were saying that, oh, it's just a punch. It's just a punch. This poor guy will spend 2 years of his life in jail for a punch. The white men were saying this. But women, they were looking at this case from a very different angle. They were saying that, no, that's not right. He violated her right. He should spend maximum, not 2 years, maximum I believe was 3 or 4, maximum time in prison. So look at the understanding or interpretation of the same case. Finally, the men were able to, and it was the case, the decision has to be made unanimously. 100% agreement. And we were told to stay until you come to a consensus. So we were able to take 4 women on our side. There was one elderly woman, she was insisting, I don't agree. And it was around 7 o'clock in the evening. So a white guy said, look, I'm not going to waste my dinner here. You're coming with us or not? So when he spoke to her in that tone, she said, okay, fine, if everybody is on one side, okay, I agree with you. And the guy was pronounced free to go. So the women, their approach of any criminal case is scientifically, psychologically different than men. Therefore, it is possible that her interpretation of a case is driven by her emotions. And for that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَن تَضِلَّ إِحْدَاهُمَا فَتُذَكِّرَ إِحْدَاهُمَا الْأُخْرَى. If one loses the track, أَن تَضِلَّ, Allah is not saying if one forgets. It's not like they have a forgetting problem. They don't. They never forget anything. Okay? أَن تَضِلَّ إِحْدَاهُمَا. It doesn't mean that if she forgets. It means that if she loses the track, she interprets the case differently. فَتُذَكِّرَ إِحْدَاهُمَا الْأُخْرَى. Then we will bring her back to the track with the help of the other woman. So that the person who is facing the case, he doesn't end up being in prison for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, unnecessarily. Therefore, 2 women and 1 man. And testimony in the court is not a noble profession. The noble profession is narrating a hadith. And what is a noble profession? Here Islam accepts the narration of one woman, and 1 woman is equal to 1 man. So, as I said, that equality 100% between 2 genders is not possible. Because it is not possible within 1 gender. If it is not possible within 1 gender, how is it possible between 2 genders? So equality is the first problem of liberalism. The second aqeedah or the second faith of liberalism is freedom. We have freedom of expression. We are free to say whatever. We are free to practice whatever. So freedom of expression and freedom of opinion is a fundamental value of liberalism. We enjoy that value in these Western lands. And we are free to say whatever we like, and we are happy about it. We criticize the government, though we don't have a right to vote. And even if we have a right to vote, we still criticize and heavy, harsh criticism. And we're not held accountable. It's a good thing. But when people learn that if it is an Islamic government, then you are not allowed to renounce your religion, Islam. If a person leaves his faith, renounces his religion publicly, Islam, then he will be subject to punishment. There will be a criminal case against him, which might end up in death penalty. So does Islam not allow freedom of expression? If a person wants to leave his Iman, his deen, how come he doesn't have that freedom? What's wrong? In the Western world, we see that this value of freedom is given to everybody and we enjoy it. We think that is a very noble quality. But when we compare it with the Islamic state or the Islamic system, we find that this quality does not exist there. We do not have freedom. People do not have a right to choose whatever they like after becoming Muslim. They have only one option. They secretly fled to another country. But if they live within an Islamic state and they announce publicly that we're no longer Muslims, we do not believe in Allah, they can land in a problem. So it means the Western system is superior than the Islamic system. So let me ask you this. How much freedom do we have in these Western countries? Do we have absolute freedom or we have limited freedom? Absolute freedom is not possible in any country of this world. It's not possible. The government will never ever give you an absolute freedom. It's not possible. Let me give you two examples. One example from here, from this country. The second example is from Europe. The first example is prostitution. Prostitution is not legalized in this country except for Las Vegas. So, a woman who wants to do this profession, who wants to adopt this profession, is she harming anyone? No. She is simply selling her body and making money out of it. She is maybe enjoying or at least becoming the means of joy for someone else. She is not fundamentally harming anyone. But, and this should fall under freedom of expression, she wants to express her body. But it is illegal. A woman cannot adopt this profession. That means freedom of expression is not unlimited and absolute. There is at least one example where we do not have freedom. So freedom is limited in liberal societies. If you go to Europe and you start criticizing Holocaust, you will land in a big problem in those countries. Some of these countries will put you in jail for 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. If you start criticizing Holocaust or if you deny Holocaust. Denial of Holocaust, you're not harming anybody. You're criticizing it. You're not favoring Hitler. You're just saying that there were not 6 billion who were killed. There were only 600,000. The moment you say that, you will land in a problem. You will cause a problem to yourself. What is freedom of expression? It's not that we really like and we enjoy to criticize Holocaust. We don't. I'm just giving an example that in these Western liberal society, freedom of expression or just freedom is not absolute, it is limited. If it is limited there, it is also limited in Islamic State. Let me give you one more example. Suppose tomorrow you decide, the people of Peoria, that we are announcing our liberation from the Union. We will have our own White House here in Peoria, our own government. We do not have any trust in the Union. What's going to happen? You will have the commandos and an army all over the place to take care of the situation. You will not be given this permission that you establish another system within the system. This union territory that's called United States, that is governed by one constitution and one law. You cannot have your own constitution and your own law. What is freedom of expression? You have limited freedom of expression. Similarly, when a person renounces, look, Iman is a policy of an Islamic world. Just like the constitution of this country is the policy of this country. You cannot go against the constitution. You can demand some certain amendments in the constitution, but you cannot have your own constitution. Similarly, Iman Billah is the constitution of an Islamic country. If a person renounces Islam and he says that I don't believe in Islam, and he starts starts activism against Islam. He starts propagating apostasy and atheism or agnosticism among Muslims. So it means he has established his own constitution in front of a constitution already established. And of course, just like you cannot do or have your own constitution in this country and you will be punished. Similarly, in that country, if it is an Islamic country, that person will be punished if he wants to have his own constitution and his own national policy. So freedom of expression is not absolute, nowhere. The third thing and the last thing is progress. What is the meaning of progress? Progress is that as we move in time, we are getting better and better. Morally, we are getting better and better. Just a few years ago, 10 years ago, this country was not ready to accept the rights of transgenders. But then after that something happened, that the whole country changed. And now if you speak up against transgenderism, you will become victim of the cancelled culture. You will become victim of hatred. You will be targeted. You will be declared backward. So what is this? They think that since 10 years ago, we were not morally updated. And as the time is progressing, we are becoming better in terms of morality. So just a few years ago, we didn't think that transgenders have rights. But now they have rights, finally we figured out. This is called progressivism. Look what Islam says about time. I cited a hadith in today's khutbah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that khairul quruni qarni thumma alladhina yalunahum thumma alladhina yalunahum. The best time is my time, then the time of those who will come after me, and then the time of those who will come after them. It means that as we go back to the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we will become morally good. And according to liberalism, as we move away from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we will become morally better. So it's totally in two opposite directions. But think about this. We have a reason, and liberalism does not have a reason. We have a reason why we become morally good. If we go back to the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam is the source of morality, and we have an evidence. We can prove that. إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you are on the best model of morality. So if whenever you go closer to the source, you enjoy that thing better. So when we go closer to the source of morality, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we become morally better. When we go away from the source, we will be deprived of morality. We ask them, what is your source of morality? You say that as we move in time, we move ahead in time, we become morally better. What is your source of morality? Time? Time is not the source of anything. Is your source in the future? How do you know? You haven't seen the future. Is it in the past? Then how come you're not going to the past? You're moving to the future. So where are you heading? What is the source of morality? They do not have source of morality at all. Their morality is what they believe in. Their morality is their dogma. Our morality is the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are the three foundations of liberalism: equality, freedom, and progress. If we handle these three things and we respond to our children about these three beliefs of liberalism, chances are that we may be able to convince them. After all, it's all about honesty. We have to teach our children that you must become honest. Never declare at any stage of your life, whether you're in high school or you're in college or you're in university or you have completed your education, never believe at any point of your time that you have full-fledged Islamic knowledge. You may have some knowledge, but there are people who know more than you. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Rasulullah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that above every knowledgeable is another knowledgeable. So if you think that I have got it all, I know everything, this hadith is problematic and that aqidah is problematic, and you make the liberalism or the liberal society or scientism your mentor and your judge, then you will lose your iman, because you're not honest to yourself and you're making false people, shayateen, as your judge. But when you become skeptic to the liberal values, when you become skeptic to scientism, and your source of morality is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you are honest to yourself, and you admit that I have very little knowledge, I may have doubts right now in my heart, but these doubts can be entertained, and there would be some people who can respond to my doubts, who can solve my problem. The moment you think, then Allah Azza wa Jalla will also help you, and you will be able to save your iman. So it's all about amana. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that time is soon going to come when people will sleep, and next morning when they will wake up, they have lost their honesty. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that al-amanatu nazalat fi jizari qulubi rijal, that first amana and honesty was given to the people, and then iman was given to them, then Quran was given to them. So it's all about honesty. We have to work on our children, and we have to make them honest to themselves before they can become honest to others. I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to follow the Quran and Sunnah and allow us to save our generations. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve our Iman and the Iman of our progeny. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khair al-jaza, wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Yes, I can take questions, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam.
The question is, how do you deal with the society or let's say,
Jazakallah khair.
the question is, the government or the law here, or probably everywhere in the world anymore, you cannot discipline your kids or tell them what to do, and if you try to guide them even, they get mad at you, they say, hey, don't tell me, you cannot do that, I'm not gonna listen to you.
Yeah.
I will do this and that, So even though you try to advise them, and they kind of jump back at you. So how do you deal with that?
Okay. Some sisters also have a question. I can see your hand raised over there. Acha, okay. All right, so brother asked a very important question. See, it's all about developing our own system. I'm not talking about laws. I'm talking about system. Catholics in this country have their own schools. They teach their values. And many times they become successful in making their children Christians. They raise their children according to Christian values, many of them, and I'm not saying 100%. Why many of them and not 100%? Because their ideology is a failed ideology. Our faith, our Iman, is backed by 100% concrete evidences, Quran and Sunnah. Our failure is that we haven't developed our own school system. We have Muslim communities, mashallah, big masajid. Where are our schools? And if we have our schools, we don't have our curriculum. We still borrow the curriculum from the liberal society. We still teach in biology, evolution, and our Muslim teacher teaches them this evolution, whatever is written is correct. So our students, even if they go to Islamic schools, they come out with the same mentality, or at least similar values, and that is a problem. We need Muslim think tanks that develop 100% pure Islamic curriculum, and that curriculum should be implemented in Islamic school. This is how we teach them our values and our morality. It is our right that we can preserve our culture, but if we let them go to public school and then we expect from them that they will be trained according to our culture, it's not going to happen. It's not possible. Yes.
Mufti Sahab, you mentioned that the youth said Allah is not merciful and He does not have control over the evils of this world. What answer did you give him to satisfy him? Also, is it right to think that nothing is happening in this world without the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Sometimes the thoughts do come, why did 3 million innocent kids suffer in the Pakistani floods? What is happening? These kids were innocent. What happened to them?
Okay. I think she asked two questions. One is that everything is happening by the command of Allah. Is this question related to taqdeer or predestination? Both. Okay. Let me answer the first question. I think I should have addressed this when I was talking about it. It's good that you reminded me. If Allah is omnipotent and merciful, then how come He is not controlling the events that are happening here that are harming people? Either He's not merciful or He's not able to control, so He's not omnipotent. The problem happens when we limit Allah with these two qualities. How many characteristics does Allah have? Any idea? 99 names that we know. Unlimited, infinite characteristics of Allah Azza wa Jal. Let's talk about the 99 characteristics that we know. Is it fair to say that Allah is either Rahman, merciful, or omnipotent, and ignore the remaining 97 characteristics? Is it fair? It's not. Allah Azza wa Jal has few other characteristics that we know. Number one, He is Al-Alim, all-knowing. Number two, He is Al-Hakim, all-wise. Now, if Allah is infinite in His being and in His characteristics, do you think that Allah's knowledge and ilm will be finite? No. Allah's ilm is infinite. What about the wisdom of Allah? Finite or infinite? Infinite, because He is all wise. He's not only wise. Me and you can be wise, but we cannot be all wise. We cannot be Al-Hakim. He is Al-Hakim, all wise. So His wisdom, unlimited. His knowledge, unlimited. Now if somebody says that I must know why Allah Azza wa Jal caused this thing to happen, I must know, then you are actually demanding, then I should know all the wisdoms and all the knowledge of Allah. You are actually putting yourself next to Allah and declaring yourself Al-Hakim and Al-Alim. Because if you know everything and every cause behind every incident, then your knowledge is equal to Allah's knowledge. And if you know every wisdom, then your hikmah and your wisdom, the number of your wisdom is equal to Allah's wisdom. Then Allah is not Allah, you are Allah. Okay? This is the problem. See, we have to, when we acknowledge our ignorance, then we are honest. We say that definitely there must be some hikmah that we don't know. We cannot demand every knowledge. There must be some hikmah that we don't know, because this is our position and that is Allah's position. And let me tell you one hikmah that doesn't have to be true in 100% cases. It doesn't have to be true. It's just true in one case. Let's talk about one case. Suppose, imagine if you are given a chance and authority or technology that you travel back in time. And you went back, all the way back, and you saw Hitler there playing somewhere in his front yard. And you were told, this is Hitler. He's going to grow up and he's going to kill 600 million Jews. So it will be ethical to kill him. Because now what you will be doing, you will be trying to save those 6 million people, because you know the future. You're coming from the future, you went in the past. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows past, present, and future of every single individual. It is possible sometime that our children die at a young age. It is good for them, because it is possible that when they grow up they may not remain Muslim. But now by losing their life, their Iman is confirmed. Their Jannah is confirmed. And not only their Jannah is confirmed, the Jannah of their parents can also be confirmed, because these children are not getting into Jannah without their parents. This is one hikmah, this is one wisdom. This is not it doesn't work everywhere, in every case. But I'm just telling you that these are the few things that we might know. But there are millions and trillion things that belong to the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we don't know. So it will not be fair at all to limit Allah to only those two qualities, that either Allah is omnipotent or merciful. What about Al-Hakim and what about Al-Alim? Okay, I hope I answered that question. As for the predestination, I think you asked that, is it the question that if everything happens by the command of Allah, then what about our free will? Is it the question? Was that the question? Okay. Let me answer this question in a very simple example. Very simple example. All of us, all human beings that have gone, passed away, that are present today in the world, and who will be born in the future. We all have one thing in common. We are time bound. We cannot go out of this box that is called time. Is it possible? Can we become timeless? No, we have to be in time. Our past is gone. Our present is right now, and future is yet to come. We remember about our past. Sometime our memory is vague and sometime it is strong. But we cannot control our past. Whatever happened, happened. We are not aware about our future at all, because it hasn't come yet. but we surely know about the present. Right now you're talking, you're sitting in this gathering, and I'm addressing you. You don't know about my past, and nobody knows about our future, but you certainly know about my present. I am not eating food. I am not praying. I'm not playing. I'm talking to you. This is my present. Does anyone have any doubt that this is not my present? It is. Unless if you have taken something and you're having hallucination, that's a different case, no guarantee. But if everything is normal, then you know my present, 100%, beyond any doubt. Now think about Allah. Is Allah time-bound? No, He's timeless. His knowledge about present and past and future is equal. Just like we know about the present of each other. Stronger than that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about past, present, and future because He's timeless. He's looking at the time from outside, where there is no time. So if you know my present, and I am 100% talking to you without any doubt, yet I'm using my free will, you cannot say that you are forced to talk to me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about our past, present, and future. If your knowledge about me does not take away my free will, how come Allah's knowledge about us will take away our free will? Inshallah. Yes.
The question I have, that we talked about the atheism from Islam, majority talked about. But I have heard many cases I've seen that from the other religion, for example, Christian, Muslim Christian, they convert to Islam as
Yes.
well. And they also goes to atheism too. So do you have any experience share with us from the other religion, like Christian? Yeah.
You mean to say that some Christians or some people convert to Islam and then they leave Islam again? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that from Christian,
Uh-huh.
they come to Islam.
Okay.
And also from Christian, they also become atheism. So do you have any experience to share?
Well, you know, the problem of atheism and Christianity is far greater than among Muslims. There are more and more Christians that are leaving their religion, their faith. And that is because Christianity has surrendered to atheism and liberalism and scientism, centuries ago. It has lost the plot. Islam, alhamdulillah, because it is based on concrete evidence like Quran and Sunnah. Quran, which has been preserved word by word from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So yes, we acknowledge that we have this problem. But the reason why we have this problem is not because Quran is not safe or because Sunnah has a problem. We have this problem because we fail to teach our children about Islam and about the morality of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they are growing up in a society, in an environment that is not the environment of the Quran and the Sunnah. As for the Christians, they know that we cannot defend Trinity. They know that we cannot defend, this thing called Bible. It is not preserved. It just emerged out of nowhere after 300 years. So they themselves believe that there are hundreds of versions of Bible. Can they say that every word of Bible is from Jesus? They cannot say that. They cannot defend it. That's the problem. So when Christians, they grow up and they become rational and they start thinking about Trinity and things like that, and why Jesus was, the crucifixion happened for our sins. It is our sin. We should be held accountable and not Jesus, and things like that. They leave Christianity. So they have a bigger problem. And then if they have, again, amana, honesty, they find Islam, most likely. They accept Islam and mashallah, they come to the fold of Islam. But you know what? The shocking data is that if we have 23% youth living Islam in North America every year, then around the same number, not the same percentage, same number of people, not youth, accepting Islam. So the number is even. If 5 people leaving, 5 people are coming in. So, and this is, yes, we welcome 5 people, but we should also be concerned about those 5 people who are leaving Islam. Yes.
Brother, I was thinking about the khutbah. During the khutbah, you said that people from other religions like Jews, Christians, they will not enter Jannah. And if somebody approaches that how do you answer? How did Prophet answer that question?
If somebody approaches a Muslim from Christians and Jews, how do we answer? You know, sometimes we have to be very open. It depends on the type and the nature of the conversation. If a person is simply trying to understand, and you know through this conversation that this person is open to Islam, and he's open to other options, then you have to be open too. And you have to say that, you know what, the only path that will lead to Allah is this path. And why? Because you have this problem and that problem. Your book is not preserved. You have a problem of Trinity. You have a problem of crucifixion. You have 100 problems. Now the only way, the only shadow that will be safe for you and sound for you is Islam. You're not on the right track, you're going to hell. Simple. You know, let me give an example. 2 weeks ago, I on Sunday or Saturday usually do live stream on YouTube. Those who speak Urdu, they can watch me every week at 11 o'clock on my YouTube channel. Alhamdulillah, I get all types of shayateen. All types of shayateen come to my channel. You name it, you know, from Christians to Hindus to Buddhists to agnostics to atheists, and they do not come only for the sake of learning. If they come for the sake of learning, I wouldn't call them shayateen. They come for the sake of attacking Islam. So recently, 2 weeks ago, a Hindu right-winger came. So he said, what do you think about Gandhi? Where is he? So, and you know, it's a very tricky question, especially for Indian Muslims, especially in the current scenario. But since I'm here, so I'm enjoying the freedom of expression. So I said that I don't know if he recited the kalima on his deathbed, but if he didn't, then he's in hell. So he said, Gandhi is in hell? And I said, why are you shocked? I mean, if you die like that, you can also go and meet him there. But this is the fact. I mean, Islam is clear about it. The red line is Iman billah. Either or you are with us or against us in the akhirah. If you are with us, you have to say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. I'm not talking about dunya. I'm talking about the akhirah. If you are not on this side of the line, then you will not be with us in Jannah. Islam made it very, very clear. And I think every time we have this conversation with non-Muslims, we shouldn't give them false hopes. That, you know what, keep practicing your religion. Don't worry. It will be only a few bruises on the day of judgment and then you'll be with us. No. You have to be clear that there is no way you're joining us there. So better you fix yourself right now. And you're not being rude about it. In fact, you're being open about it. If you hide and conceal something, then you are actually hiding the message of Allah. I hope I answered the question.
So do you think that's how Prophet talked to people and that's how the people came to Islam? We hear that he was very kind, he was very patient, he was truthful in a very polite way.
Okay, let me give you an example. A man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His father died as a mushrik, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, where is my father? You know the guy who came and asked me, where is Gandhi? This guy asked, where is my father? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew that his father died on shirk. The Quran is clear about it, about mushrikeen, that they're not entering Jannah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Inna abaka fin nar. Your father is in the hellfire. Very clear. Why would he lie? Quran on every single page. Can Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam be more merciful than Allah? It's not possible. Allah is Ar-Rahman, not Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is rahmatun lil alameen. 100% accurate. But he doesn't have more mercy than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How does Allah azza wa jal address this issue in the Quran? Fi nari jahannama khalidina fiha. In the hellfire forever. He's talking about kuffar. Fi nari jahannama khalidina fiha. They're not coming out from the hellfire, not for even a single second. Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha. Allah will not forgive shirk at all. He will or he may forgive Other than that, all other sins. But shirk will not be forgiven. Very clear statement. So kindness is a different issue. But when we do not share with them what is true, we're not being kind to them. We're actually deceiving them. And we should avoid that. This brother also have a question over here.
Inshallah, we'll wrap up in a few minutes. Inshallah, we target Isha at 9:20. And so to allow a couple more questions, inshallah.
Just a quick question. Always I just sometimes myself confused that okay, there is one of the main things in Islam is Iman. That Allah said, believe me without any question. Yes, I'm there, I'm your God, I'm your Allah. So, and also sometimes people say, okay, think about all around and make yourself prove that Allah is there. You know how the world is going, everything is going. So if I try to prove myself looking around, okay, this is the proof that Allah is there. So there is no question of Iman. So should I believe in Allah by purely Iman of faith? Or think about that, okay, yes, there is Allah by proving this. So which one comes first? If I want the proof, then there's no question of Iman, right? So, I mean...
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
That if you are looking for proof, that means there is no Iman. Iman can be without proof, but it has to be without proof. That is inaccurate. So a lot of people do not have any proof. They just believe in Allah without any proof. You ask them, do you have any proof? They say, no, I believe in Allah without any proof. And their Iman is very strong.
That's what I'm talking about.
But does it mean that Iman cannot be with the proof? That is not correct. I, alhamdulillah, know a lot of proof for my belief in Allah Azza wa Jal, for the existence of Allah, for the Risalah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, for the existence of the Day of Judgment and all. Does that mean that my Iman doesn't count? Al-Iyaz Billah? No. So, see, the thing is, which way is preferred? If that's the question, it depends on your own psychology or on your rationality, how strong rationally you are. If a person has the problem of becoming skeptic, he's very doubtful, he's very confused-minded, and he's getting into the arguments and evidences for the existence of God. And every time an evidence comes in his mind, and he says, but it has this problem, but it has that problem, then he better avoid those evidences. They are not for him. Then it's better that he believes in Allah without any evidence. If a person is not confused-minded, he's normal. Okay, I call these people abnormal. If he's normal, then yes, no problem. Go ahead, learn evidences, and that will, in fact, sometimes will make your Iman stronger. Barakallah.
I just want to ask you about your khutbah, actually. You mentioned, like the sister said, that if I understand you very clearly, you made a very profound statement that whoever does not believe, even the people of book, are destined to hell. Am I right?
Yes.
Again, I'm not a scholar.
That's fine.
I just read in Surah Al-Baqarah.
Surah
Al-Baqarah.
Baqarah, ji.
262. It's just a translation. Verily, those who believe and those who are Jews and Christians and Sabians, whoever believes in Allah and the last day,
إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين
shall have the reward with their Lord, and them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve, no doubt.
إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. I explained this ayah after Jummah khutbah. A brother came to me and he asked me this question. I think he's in the crowd here. You know, in the khutbah I gave an example of people who never heard about Islam. They don't have to necessarily live in Amazon or up in Himalayas. They can be in our society. They have seen some Muslims, but they never read the Quran. They never received da'wah. So da'wah was systematically blocked from them, or we failed in our duty. So they never heard Rasulullah ﷺ properly, about the Quran properly, but they believe in one creator, not without Trinity, one creator, and they believe in their accountability. that we will be held accountable one day. And how will that happen? Resurrection. We will be brought back to life. So Allah is saying, Innal ladhina amanu, those who are mu'min, meaning they were born mu'min. They were born in a mu'min family. But they don't know anything. Walladhina hadu, or they're Jews, or Nasara, Christians, or Sabi'een. They, man amana billahi, but they believe in Allah, one creator. Wal yawmil akhir, and the day of judgment. Fala khawfun alayhim, no problem, even if they don't believe in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or even if they don't believe in the Quran. But those people who have heard about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who've heard about the Quran, da'wah was given to them, then no excuse for them.
I don't want to argue with you, Imam, but Al-Ghazali will not agree with you on this. What he's saying is, right now, somebody who wants to convert is going to make Muslims. And who is going to meet Muslims the way we behave right now is going to convert. I mean, astaghfirullah, just the way our...
Can you repeat this?
Yeah. You know, one of the points they make is, like you're saying, Prophet Muhammad is not here right now, right?
Okay.
He's not there. So how will they find out about the Prophet Muhammad? By talking to us, and looking at the Muslims. And the way we are conducting ourselves, not the best expression of Islam. So he's questioning, why would anybody in the right mind will convert, looking at the way, I mean, most of us behave. So that will be it will be very difficult standard for people to meet.
Okay, a very good question, but let me correct one point here. You refer this to Imam Ghazali, yes, he said it, but he said that qila, it is possible. He uses the word qila. It is said that, one far opinion is that perhaps at the end of the day, all the Ahlul Kitab will get into Jannah. You know what? There is also an opinion among some scholars, and it's not a popular opinion, that Jannah and Jahannam are not eternal. Do we believe in that? We don't. So if they're not eternal, then people in Jahannam, their stay in Jahannam will be just longer, but one day their life will be over there. But nobody among Muslims subscribes to this opinion. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, it is not his popular position. It is an opinion that he stated. The problem is that the people later, when they read the literature of Imam Ghazali, they thought that this is the position of Imam Ghazali. As you said that Imam Ghazali wouldn't agree with me. Well, I think I should say that I agree with Imam Ghazali. He is far superior than someone like me. I agree with Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, not that he agrees with me. But that what you mentioned is a very unpopular position that Imam Ghazali stated in his literature. That's point number one. Point number two is, when I say to hear about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, take yourself to the time of Sahaba and to the time of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Who knew Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam more and his seerah, the Sahaba or the non-Muslims? Obviously the Sahaba. They had access to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but they also had a lot of propaganda. The Jews were involved in false propaganda all the time through poetry. They were criticizing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam day and night, and a lot of Jews and Christians, they would just subscribe to that propaganda, and they would fall in that trap, and they would die without Iman, without Islam. So can we say that the Jews and the Christians who died during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being influenced by that propaganda, will they enter Jannah? No. They lost their opportunity to go and talk to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The people in our time, of course, they have no access to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they have access to the literature about Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Hundreds of books in hundreds of languages have been written. The hadiths are there. And we don't need seerah before the Quran. The Quran is the seerah of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. The Quran is there and it's very easily accessible. Anybody can download the copy of the Quran and read it. So he will know about Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam later. First he reads the words of Allah. So all of these things are accessible, and if he yet blocks his access deliberately, or if he was given that access but he denied, his then destination will be Jahannam. Yes.
Mufti Sahab, what are the scholars of imams of the masjid, the teachers of Islamic schools are doing to cut down the percentage of atheism and LGBT amongst our youth?
Let me ask you this question. What do you think? Are they doing anything?
I don't know.
Neither I. And that's the problem. And that is the problem. I come from that community and I swear I don't know what they're doing. And this is a serious issue. We should, as community members, not only as scholars and huffaz and muftis, as community members, as Muslim brothers and sisters, we have to be very mindful about it. We have to be very careful about it, and we need to seriously think about these issues.
Can you tell us your YouTube channel?
Just my name, Yasir Nadeem al-Wajdi. Just type this, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, mashallah. Mufti sahab, very interactive session. Yes.
No question, this one. Alhamdulillah, standing over here about 22 years in this city and more over here. I have seen, mashallah, masajid which are like 6 million, 10 million, or maybe plus, and all that. And we have more emphasis on huffaz, creating huffaz every day. You talked about schools. And you said the problem is the schools, public schools. What we are doing? Where are our resources? Why we don't spend our resources in building those institutions that can protect our youth?
Very true. Barakallah fikum. Thank you.
Inshallah, as some brothers have to leave to pick kids from ICT, we'll start immediately the Isha after Azan, and then maybe Mufti Sahib can give some more time to have inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept and the efforts here. Alhamdulillah, we appreciate Mufti Sahib's presence. MashaAllah, it was beneficial for the community, and may I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put barakah in it. Jazakallah khairan.